you know you can promote your book on the next Authors Helping Authors web show? For more information, text AHA to 202-288-4467. That's 202-288-4467. Calling all authors and publishers. Did you know Everything Authors has a free downloadable directory of platforms you can promote your book on? No longer will you have to search multiple places to market your book because you can find them here. Download your list today at everythingauthors.com/free-resources. That's everythingauthors.com/free-resources. Calling all authors and publishers. Did you know Everything Authors has a free downloadable directory of platforms you can promote your book on? No longer will you have to search multiple places to market your book because you can find them here. Download your list today at everythingauthors.com/free-resources. That's everythingauthors.com/free-resources. Are you an author who wants to promote your books without even saying a word? Visit our apparel collection at everythingauthors.com/shop. That's everythingauthors.com/shop. Did you know you can promote your book on the next Authors Helping Authors web show? For more information, text AHA to 202-288-4467. That's 202-288-4467. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Authors Helping Authors. I'm your host, Martinique Brown. I'm so excited that you guys have decided to tune into the show. Today, I'm really excited about our authors here on the show. Today, we're going to be talking about why I became an author and how it changed my life. I just love this topic. Now, if you follow me and you follow my show, you probably like, Martinique, you do this topic a lot. I do. I love it. I love this topic. It's such a good topic because it's so encouraging for the viewers, and I know that it's encouraging for myself. So it's like, well, Bartony, we about to get a dose of encouragement because we are gonna listen to these four authors. But regardless of if you're an author or if you're just a creative person, the keys and the advice that they give you, you are able to implement it into any type of project that you are working on. And I'm telling you, their stories really just help you to have a better understanding of why they do what they do, and not knowing how it's going to change their life, but they are able to see how it really did definitely help their lives as well as help other people's lives as well. So now, if this is your first time ever tuning into the show, thank you so much. Make sure you go ahead and share this video now so that more people will know about our authors as well as their books. Now, you are going to say, Martini, you are a broken record. I am, because all of the authors' contact information is listed in that description box. So now you might be hearing the story of Toni and like, man, that's a good book. You don't have to Google anything because Toni's contact information is listed in that description box as well as the purchasing link of her book. So, no pressure to purchase the book, but we would love for you to purchase it. So it's right there next to the $sign. Click on that link and then you'll be able to read their book summary. So we're just giving you a taste of their book, but you'll be able to read it a lot more in detail about what the book is about as well. So now, if you're watching from any other page other than Martinique Y. Brown or Everything Authors, I need you to come on over to one of those two pages because this is an interactive show. You are able to post your questions and your comments, and then I can actually relay those to our authors as well. So now, if you are in the virtual world, just give us a shout out. Let us know that you are here in the house, and we will not bite you as well. So, ladies, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi.
Thank
Hi.
you.
You are
Hello,
welcome.
hello. Thank
Oh,
you.
you are welcome. So we're going to start with you, Anna. Can you tell the viewers just a little bit more about yourself and how long you've been a published author?
Yes, absolutely. I am a woman of God, a mother of three boys. I am a wife, and my book was published November of 2020, so I am a brand new author.
Brand new, but you know what? I'm telling you, Anna, these days are going by so fast. Before you know it, it's going to be November again. And you ain't even going to be saying that no more. But I'm thankful to have you on the show again. What about you, Aundrea? Can you tell the viewers just a little bit more about yourself and how long you've been a published author?
Yes. So I am a writer, a podcast host. I'm a speaker. I'm also a mother of three, one of a new baby. I'm also a wife as well. And I have been a published author for since 2019. So just like you, Anna, it seems like I just got started, but I mean, it's been already 2 years.
That's crazy. So now what about you, Toni? Can you tell the viewers just a little bit more about yourself and how long you've been a published author?
Sure. I'm Toni Chevelle. I was born and raised in the Mississippi Delta, educated in the Mississippi Delta. I'm a mom of two adult children.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've been writing ever since I can remember. And my first book was published in 2016.
Okay. Nice.
So I've been at it for a minute.
Yeah. So now what about you, Pat? Can you tell the viewers just a little bit more about yourself and how long you've been a published author?
Okay, hi, my name's Pat. I live in New Zealand, but I'm English, as you could probably tell by my accent. I've been here for 11 years, so I'm a pretend Kiwi, I'm not a real one. I published my first book last October, and since then I've published another one and co-authored another one. So I've found my new career at the age of 70. It's very exciting.
I love it.
Awesome.
So, and I'm a mother of one beautiful daughter, and I have no husband anymore.
Oh, okay. So now your first book was published October 2020.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Great. So we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about you all's book. So we'll start with you, Toni. So what genre of books do you actually write? Because you've been in the game since 2016. And can you tell us a little bit more about the latest book that you've written?
Sure. I write on a variety of topics, but my specialty, my niche is fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that. I enjoy the creativity that comes along with it. My latest book, which is about to be released, is called Far From Home. It is the follow-up or the part 2 of the Chambers Family trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fiction trilogy that I am working on. And it's going to be a pretty interesting story.
So you say so yourself, huh?
If I do say so myself.
So now tell us about the Chambers family. What makes them what makes them relatable? And then what keeps us coming back for wanting more about the Chambers family?
The Chambers family, on the surface, they seem like any other family. They do have a large number of children. They have 6 girls.
Mm-hmm.
The father is a self-made entrepreneur. He's wealthy, but he's not what I would call the pretentious wealth. He's very down to earth, and he's all about sharing and spreading the wealth. He's about family.
Okay.
But underneath the shiny wealth, underneath the good stuff, there's a lot of secrets and a lot of generational issues that are plaguing the family. And that's what the story is about. It's about how those things start to come out and how they deal with them.
Now I'm not gonna ask you about all the secrets because I know you gonna tell me no, and I don't want people seeing my hurt face. But tell us about one. Can you tell us one secret? Just one.
There's so many, but I would say one secret is that the girls all don't share the same lineage.
Okay.
And I'm just going to leave it at that because it actually comes out over the series. You get hints in part one, you start to see it more in part two, and then part three, you get the whole revelation. Yeah.
So now, why do you enjoy writing fiction so much?
I love creating characters. I love creating stories and using that creativity to reflect on things that people actually go through, and to just attract readers who may not necessarily be fond of the self-help type books where they might feel like, oh, they're talking at me or this, that, or the other, or they're, but they'll see these stories and they'll see some things that they may have gone through or things that they have seen, and they'll be like, well, this is kind of familiar. I wonder if maybe I should approach it the way she did in this book. So it gives them a different way of approaching their everyday lives and their everyday issues.
And you know what? I don't know if you all know how powerful you all are, as writers, because you have so much influence over people's lives. When you have a good book, you're like, I don't even need to sleep. I mean, let me just go and finish this book.
Yeah. And I can attest to that as a reader.
Yeah. And I just think it's so cool how, I honestly, okay, Toni, as many authors as I have interviewed, I've never thought about the self-help portion of it. Because somebody is going through something that is pretty relatable to readers, then you are able to say, okay, well, this person is going to do this. And I love the fact how you said, maybe you're not into the self-help type of books, but you could be into fiction and you'll still be gaining something about how to handle a particular situation in your life. Toni, girl, you done. I'm not a writer, but I'm telling you, that type of stuff, it makes you just like, this is so good. And I honestly believe, and I challenge, our viewers, if God has put something on your heart to do, just do it, because you don't know how many people it's going to bless. And like I said, it's going to bless other people. It's going to bless other people. It's going to bless yourself. But, you had that creativity for a reason. And, if it's writing, then go ahead and write and be on the show the next time. But Pat, what about you? What genre of books do you write? And can you tell us about the latest book that you've written?
Of course. Can I first say that I think Toni's comment about the self-help books is fabulous. I would never have thought of that, but she's so right. Yeah. She's absolutely right. Yeah. Okay. So my first book is a novel, Daisy. I got the idea last year 3 years ago. My husband abandoned me after 26 years, just out of the blue. So I kind of had to learn to live on my own. So when we went into lockdown last year, I spent the first 2 weeks lying on the sofa, feeling very sorry for myself, eating too much chocolate and watching rubbish on Netflix. And then I thought, Pat, this is ridiculous. Just get a grip. Why don't you write a book? So I started, and the book just wrote itself, really. I spent 2 weeks not sleeping. I just stayed up all night, paper everywhere, writing. Daisy is probably my own thoughts on paper, really. It's a story of two people from quite different worlds, a poor girl from England and a rich man from America. Everyone assumes, because I start the book with that they end up getting together. They don't. They're just the
spoiler alert, people.
They're just the kind of first characters, and that becomes very obvious straight away that they're not going to be together. But I included a lot of things in the book about racism and a bit about slavery and homophobia. And this is going back to 1887, it starts, to 1974. So it covers a big period of time when those things were really very prevalent. I was very anxious when I first published it as to how it would be received, because obviously I'm an old white woman. So I'm writing about something that's not necessarily something I understand properly. But I do have a huge Fijian family, so I kind of do understand a bit.
You do have a large what family? Say that again.
Fijian. They're in the Fiji Islands. Yeah, so they're black. They're black. They're my family, but not blood, obviously, because I'm white, they're black. But so I have a bit of an understanding, and I did pass the idea through them first as to whether people would be offended about me writing about such topics. I'm very pleased to say it's been very well received. It's a family saga, really, but it touches on lots of those bits that sometimes don't get enough of a voice. And I quote people like Maya Angelou and Harriet Tubman in it, because they're heroines of mine, really. So yeah, that's it. Sorry, I've probably overrun my time.
No, you okay. You're okay. Don't be telling them our secrets. But that is so interesting that you decided to write about that. When you did approach your family about it, what were their thoughts? And if you had somebody to say, Pat, this is not your lane, I don't think you should write this, what would you have done, you think? Or did it even happen? It might have happened.
I probably would have stopped in my tracks, but I didn't allow that to happen, because I never allowed anyone to read the book except my editor until it was published. So I kind of thought, okay, I'm just going for this. If I become not popular, that's not good. But my Fijian family, I've known them for 45 years. So they know my feelings about things like racism. They knew I wouldn't write anything untoward. But I took a gamble, and now I'm writing the sequel.
So with the book, though, I know that you're talking about, different subjects that definitely needs to be talked about. How do you address those things? Are you saying that there is the American Black, or is the woman from England, is she Black? Like, is there a Black person in there?
Yeah, there are people from America who are Black. There are people from America who are white, and the same in the UK. Okay. So it kind of mixes people up.
And why did you decide to, especially with I want to say this was your first book, right?
Yeah.
Why did you want to write about something so heavy? especially since you was coming off of something that was heavy that happened in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's probably always been inside me. I had no intention of writing about those subjects when I started. I just thought, let's write a nice little book. But as I started writing, probably God gave me some instruction, and these things just happened. It just evolved, really. But I think even as a little girl, I've been very aware of injustice. And when I was 6 years old, my mother apparently said to my father, "That girl cares too much about life, about people. She's going to have a very hard passage through life." And she was so right. So right. Yeah. So I guess it's just always been there, and this was just an excuse to get it out.
So now sometimes I think that it's actually kind of cool that, I don't want to say kind of, but it's cool that you wrote a book like that, because sometimes I wonder if the right audience picks up the book. Now, when we're talking about racism and things like that, Black people and, Hispanic people and brown people, we're the ones that's dealing with it. But if only us are reading it, then it's kind of like, we know about it already, so, I'm let me know this. Do you think there are white people that's picking up the book and maybe having some type of mindset shift in how they're thinking about different things, those heavy topics that you decided to write about?
I think possibly a little, because I've lived a long time. I'm 70 years old. I know heaps of people all over the world, and the white people who know me in England, America, wherever, they know my feelings. So they will already know how I'm going to write.
Mm-hmm.
They will, because they're my friends, they obviously have similar viewpoints to me. I have had some bad reviews from people who obviously, in America, white people who obviously don't have the same views.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure that I will shift people's thinking. I would like to think I had.
Mm-hmm.
And that was obviously part of the reason for writing it, really. But I'm only one lone voice in the wilderness. But I've got together now with a lot of other ladies. Most of them are much younger than me, very high-powered, Black, and we've co-written the book. And so I think there's solidarity in numbers, particularly women. Women are very powerful when they stand together.
Yeah, that's good. And when you said that, you're kind of like this lone ranger type of person, it's only you writing it. But when I think about things like that, sometimes it just takes that one story. You might not change immediately from what you just read, but if you keep living,
yes,
that story might pop back up into your mind and say, maybe I do need to change such and such, and so that's just the power of books. You'll read something and then like sometimes it just sit dormant on your heart and then God just brings it up and say, well, remember when you read that book called Daisy? Remember you thought this way? And gradually like God begins to like, if you unharden your heart, God gradually begins to change your perspective on different things. But that's excellent. I was about to call you Daisy, but your name ain't Daisy.
You can call me Daisy. I'm very happy.
your name is Pat. But Pat, that's excellent. I'm really glad to hear more about your book. So now, what about you, Aundrea? Can you tell us a little bit more about your book and about the genre of book yours is in, and if you're interested in writing other genres as well?
Yes. So I currently have 2 children's books. So that's kind of where I started. I think at the point I'm in my life, I have 3 small children, 3, 5, and 1 month. And so I'm surrounded by children right now. And so I'm like thinking like a child. And so it was just really natural for me to just write children's books. But I'm currently writing a book about marriage and sex. And so that is like kind of it's kind of a switch. But I'm extremely excited to be writing and soon publishing this book. It's called God's Not Invited. And it's really just a story about the transformative power of God and the way that he's transformed my husband and I's sex life. And so that is, I'm still sticking with the family life, and my faith is a big part of my life as well. And so that is definitely intertwined into the books that I've written. But my current 2 books are Little Boy, Big Joy and Little Girl, Big Heart. And they are really just, they're about my family members. And so they are really where I find myself in life right now.
So now, with your book, there's, you just gave us a lot. With that book though, that is like such an intimate topic.
Yeah.
What did your husband think about that? Was he like, just girl, just keep this in your journal, please?
Because I think he understands the power in the story, because it was such a tough time that we came through in our marriage, that he finds it so necessary to share as well, because both of us are pretty transparent, especially when we have seen God just move. And so he's completely fine with it. He knows about this creative writer spirit that I have in me. And so he's like, I'm not touching that, that's you, that's all you. So he's completely fine with it, just because he knows the power in the story and other people hearing it and it possibly helping to transform their marriages as well.
So now, do you recommend individuals that are single read the story? And the reason why I ask that is because, as a single Christian, I have to limit. I don't even want to say limit. I don't even read books that have sex in it and things like that. Would it be a book appropriate for me that's trying to honor God in my sexuality and abstain from sex? What do you think?
Absolutely, because I would say about half of the book is about me sharing about my single life before my husband and I got married, before we even met each other. And because a lot of that is a part of the things that I brought into my marriage. And so I think that it's important to hear that as a single woman, just to hear the things that I've gone through. If you've experienced those things, or if you're facing those things now, I think it's important to hear, especially if marriage is something that you desire. I think that is it. My story is definitely something, because I haven't always been married. And as a single woman, there were things that I faced that lots of other Christian women face. And so I think it's important to hear that part of the story, as well as the other side of it when I did get married. So I think it would definitely be helpful.
So now I know you mentioned the struggles. Like, can we get one struggle? Like, what can we
Yes,
expect?
of course. So I think, it's a really heavy topic, but it's not talked about enough. And that is porn with women, and how it's very much so hidden in the lives of women, because we feel like we have to hide it because it's not something that women do. But since a very young age, I was exposed to pornography, and just carrying that through my childhood into my teenage years, into college. And then in college is when I met my husband, and still that being having a great hold on me. And then bringing those type of things that were planted, the seeds that were planted from pornography into my marriage. That is one of the heavy things that I do talk about within the book. Yeah.
Come on. Thank you so much for your transparency with that, because I honestly believe that as Christians, we have to be transparent, because that's where the transformation comes through with other people as well. And so that they do know that, man, there was somebody else in these trenches the same way that I struggle too, and so just being available to speak on those things for you. With a topic like that, though, did you have to first discuss it, not with your husband, but with your family? Did they already know this about you, or was it a shock to them as well?
Yeah, I had to talk to my parents about it, because, them not knowing this about me, I think it was a conversation I had to prepare myself first with. It took a long time for me to talk to them about it, because one, I didn't want them to be hurt, which I know that there are so many feelings as a parent when you hear things like this, but it took me a long time to even muster up the courage to talk to them about it. But once I did, and I shared with them what was on my heart, they were very receptive, especially to me sharing my story and sharing my testimony and putting it in a book in the way that they know, because they know I love writing, and sharing it in the creative way that's within me. So it was a tough conversation, but I'm definitely glad that I had the conversation first, because it really freed me to just be able to write and share just truthfully.
Yeah. Now I know that you mentioned that that is something that you're writing now. When can we expect that book to be out? No pressure. Like, we don't need it tomorrow. We might.
I know. Now I got to give a.
Now you got to give a date.
So,
people gonna hold you accountable,
right? I'm hoping that I can have it out and available to you guys by the end of next year, because it's still being written, and I want to make sure that I am being very I would say strategic with the way that in which I release it, and that I can really be focused on it, because I still have the other two books, and I want to make sure that it's the right time. I want to make sure it's in God's timing of when I release it, because that's important to me. I want to be able to fully focus on this, because it's such a heavy topic, but it's such a great story that I think God is really going to be able to move through.
Definitely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. If you guys are interested in following any of our authors on social media, because they never just write one book, it's always multiple books. But make sure you follow them on social media because not only are they authors, but I know for sure like Aundrea and Anna have a podcast. I want to say that Toni, you have a podcast. You do your readings online on Facebook Live and things like that. As well. And Pat might have something up her sleeve too. But you want to follow them on social media so that you're never, out the loop of when they do release more books, as well as when they're doing their podcasts and things like that. Again, their contact information is listed in that description box as well. Now, what about you, Anna? What genre books do you write or that you're interested in writing? Because I know that you wrote this book, and I think you were also part of an anthology as well. But can you tell us about the latest book that you've written?
Yes, the latest book that I wrote, and the only book for now, is called From Existing to Living. It's a spiritual book. And in this book helped women discover their worth in God, and it shows them how to live a victorious life in a chaotic world. I speak on the things I used to do before knowing Christ and how I would fill my voids with the wrong things and with the wrong people. So that's what the book is really about.
So now give us one thing that you were filling your void, the wrong void of what God was supposed to be filling.
That was sex. I was very promiscuous. That was one of the things. And then the second one was liquor, going clubbing and just drinking and just, trying to fill that void with those things because I didn't know who God was. I didn't really know my worth in God. And when we don't know our worth in God, we will try to fill those voids. We will have a void in our lives and we won't even know why until we get to know who Christ is. So once we get to know who Christ is, then we will be able to know who we are in him. And that's how we discover our worth.
Now, with your title, what's the difference between existing and living? And how does it really just relate to your story and what you're teaching us in your book?
I was basically, I thought I was living, and I realized that a lot of people think that they're living their best life and really living according to how God created them, according to God's purpose. God has a plan for everyone. And if we don't know who Christ is, then more than likely you will be only existing in this world. There's a lot of people that are in this world, but unfortunately do not know for what. Why am I here? Why did God create me? Who created me? There's a reason why I must be in this world, in this earth. So that is what existing is. You're just existing in the world, but you're really not walking into the purpose that God created you to have because you don't know who Christ is. So that's what I was doing. I didn't know who Christ was before. So therefore, I was just existing and doing crazy things, living the crazy world and just having sex with multiple men. And I keep it real in the book. I like to be transparent.
Yeah.
And now that I know Christ and I've been walking with Christ for 10 years, I see my purpose. I see my worth in God. And I also see that he is the one and the only one that can actually fill that void.
So let me ask
now
you,
I'm living.
Yeah, and that's good. And I wanted to just ask you about, people that's watching the show now, they may just be existing. And they, they do feel like, look, this is it. Everybody has their ups and downs and things like that. How do you speak to those individuals? And I know you talk about your testimony in the book, but what is your end goal when people read your book?
So the main thing that I want people to see or to read in the book, the main goal is basically, I always ask when I come across someone and they start venting and telling me their issues and so forth. I like to listen. I like to really listen to what there's a problem, right? Because when we write books, it's to solve an issue, to solve a problem. So I'm sorry, I lost the question. Say that again.
So I was just saying, what's your end goal of when somebody reads your book? Especially for that reader that's like, look, I'm living my best life. That's what everybody said especially with social media. We all live in we look like we live in our best life.
I used to do that before getting to know who Christ was. I thought at the moment I was only feeling fulfilled for the moment. It was temporarily,
Temporary.
because right after I finished, having sex, or right after I finished going clubbing, right after I finished drinking, I would be the same Anna I was that morning, still feeling empty. And I say that if you feel empty, or you feel like no matter what you do, you still feel like you have a void and nothing is really satisfying you, then chances are that you do not know who God is. And I like to speak in the book on how God created us, why God created us, because again, a lot of people know that God exists, but they really do not know why God created them. So in the book, I speak on the reason why we are here, the reason why we feel a void without Him, the reason why we go to other people if we don't know who He is, right? And try to fill the void with the wrong things. And I speak on those things. So if a person is reading, they can probably say, wow, I feel that way. It's true. Like, I don't feel complete. And that's because maybe I need a relationship with Christ.
And I'm glad that you introduced them to Christ. And I'm also glad that you mentioned the whole temporary feeling that you have, because I think that that's the flip side of being a Christian. Like, when we feel down, not saying like I don't want to downplay nothing, but it is temporary, like that sadness that we feel, but we still have to remind ourselves of that, like everlasting joy that you begin to have as well. And I think that that's like the difference in it, because we can pull from who brings us joy as opposed to the experiences or people that brings us joy. So I think that that's a great book to definitely put on your shelf, if you do feel that you're looking for all these things and materialistic things and people to feel something for you, on that void, but it's definitely Jesus Christ who can do that for you. So I do want to give a shout out to Evelyn, as well as Georgiana Martinez and Angela, as well as Miss Jenkins, who's tuning into the show. Thank you guys so much. So we have a question on the floor for you, Aundrea. This is coming from Evelyn. She said, if your parents didn't know, if your parents did not know about, your struggle with pornography, do you share with them how you were exposed to it?
I did. And it was a very weird time for me, because I didn't even know I was going to write this book. I didn't know. I think I just felt like I needed to release, but didn't know what I needed to release. And so, honestly, one day I was just sitting and just began to write, and whatever came out is what I started to write about. And I think God allowed me to write about that, because that had a hold on me, because I had never really shared it before, bits and pieces with my husband, but even he didn't know the full story. And so I had to share with my parents how I was exposed. And in the book, you'll learn a little bit more about that. But it was definitely tough. It was not easy. And I think that that's even more the power of God to give me the courage to even talk to them about it, because it was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had to have.
So now with you, Pat, why did you even decide to become an author, and how has it changed your life?
Okay, well, I think since I was a little girl, I've always loved creating, and writing was a big thing. When I was about 10, I started a theatrical company. There was only myself and my two siblings, but I always, and I started a magazine, which I only managed one edition, but I think it's always been deep in with me. When I was in my 30s, I did start writing a bit, sent a couple of things off to publishers, and of course got loads of rejections. Nice, very pleasant, but and one of them said, why don't you write for Mills and Boon? That's where people make their money. So I wrote this romance, sent it off to Mills and Boon. They replied and said, yes, we love your story, but we're only interested in it if you put in explicit sex. Now, this was 40 years ago when explicit sex really wasn't kind of the thing that nice girls did. So I just thought, right, that's it. No more writing for me. If that's the only way to make it as a writer, I'm not interested. And I just shelved it. But it's obviously always been deep within me. And as I said, during lockdown, when I was on my own, I just suddenly, that's it, let's go. Since then, my life's changed beyond all measure. In the last 6 months, I've got my confidence back. I've met heaps of fabulous people through lots of different author sites. I've been to 2 book fairs and people have actually wanted my book, wanted me to sign it. One lady even wanted to have a photograph with me, which was very exciting.
Yeah.
And talking of photographs, I hate having my photograph taken. And for this book I'm co-authoring with all these other very high-powered ladies, they insisted I had a professional photo shoot, and I was so nervous I nearly pulled out the whole book, even though I'd already written my bit, because I thought, no, I can't do it. I'm an old lady, I'm not attractive, I'm blah, blah. Anyway, they all forced me to go and do it. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. So I'm kind of going like this and like this.
That's right. They Pat, the photo shoot is over. All right.
Exactly. And so yeah, it's changed me as a person. Well, I don't know if it's changed me. I think it's brought out the person I always was. But because I've had a lot of hard times, that person has been squashed for many, many years. But now I'm 70, I'm having a fabulous time. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's excellent. And I'm thankful that you, I'm glad that you said, about the confidence, just for the simple fact that I do believe that when you do something that maybe challenges you and you complete it, then it is such a confidence booster. You're like, shoot, if I can finish that, I know I can do this. But I think that is also so good that you did it because of like your marriage falling apart. And I just can't imagine what that does to somebody's self-esteem, especially if they don't give you any type of notice.
Yeah.
Really
hard.
Yeah. That's another book in itself.
Oh, yep.
That's why I said you all follow these authors on social media because they definitely write more and more stories. So what about you, Toni? Why did you decide to become an author, and how has it changed your life?
I became an author because I've always loved books. I started reading early on when I was a toddler. I've always had a love and a passion for reading and for books. So my sister and I growing up, when we played Barbies, we created stories because, we grew up, during the time watching the soap operas with Big Mama, with Medea. And so we just took that into our doll play. And so ever since then, I just fell in love with writing and creating stories. And I knew at some point that I was going to be an author, that I was going to write books and, be on the bestseller list.
Yeah. How has it changed your life?
It's gotten me acquainted with people from all walks of life. Through social media, I've met so many amazing people, and we've connected. It's built my confidence. It's just really enriched my life. Just being able to write and create and connect with people through that, it's taken my life to a whole nother level. It's just made it amazing.
That's good. What about you, Anna? Why did you decide to become an author, and how has it changed your life?
Well, first of all, that was not my plan. That was God. It was in my mind to write at all. I was always one not to write so much, but to read. I read a lot of books, but I've never been a writer. So that's crazy. God is funny. So God gave me a word, and he said that I was going to be an author. So I took that word, I prayed on it, I fasted on it, and I ran with it. I said it was very challenging because I had a lot of discouragement and challenges while I was writing the book. But I said, if God told me that I'm able to do it, because God will never tell you to do something if you're not equipped to do it, I am able to do this. So that definitely was a word from God that manifested. I ran with it. It became an author, and it has definitely changed my life. Again, like the lady said, it connected me to many people. And just to know that my book is helping people, and not only that, most importantly for me, that they're giving their lives to Christ and telling me about it. That's forget it, like mind blowing to me. I'm like, wow, God, you did this through me. So that right there for me is such a blessing. So that's how it really changed my life.
And I really connect with you saying, God, you did this through me, because I was thinking about something that I'm working on now for my other company, and I'm like, Jesus, this idea. I mean, because okay, you don't want to be patting yourself on the back for the ideas that you have, and you like, this is so good. Like, Jesus, I know it was you, and then you just become thankful that you are the one that can do it.
Yes.
And so like I really just love that. I think it's like one of the greatest fulfillments when you do hear how what you have done has touched somebody else. But when, like, in the bigger scheme of things, it's like, Jesus, like, you just doing what I told you to do. Of course it's going to touch somebody's life. No. But what about you, Aundrea? Why did you actually decide to become an author, and how has it changed your life?
I have written since I can remember. I remember in fourth grade entering a young authors contest. I didn't win, but I had a lot of fun. And I've just always written. Even my prayers are in the form of journal entries. So writing has just been weaved through my life. And like I said before, being a stay-at-home mom of 2 at the time, I don't know how many children's books I have read in the 5 years that my daughter has been alive. And so I think that the children's book was just right there. Like God was like, that's where you are in life right now. And so it was just so easy for me to write both books. It has changed my life tremendously to see children actually happy to read the book. I mean, I used to do something on Instagram called Full of Love Fridays, and parents would send me pictures and videos of their children reading my book and smiling with it and just really enjoying it. And so I would post them for Full of Love Friday. They would be featured. And so just seeing my children and my godchildren and my friends' children read the book and just find so much joy in it. I mean, it's just that blows me away every time.
And children don't fake pictures. If they really want each other, they are. But if they don't, they were looking like, Mama, I'm not smiling. Oh, no, but that's really good.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Anna, what does success look like for you as an author, and how do you measure it?
Well, success for me, again, going back to the fact that my book is changing people's lives and they're actually discovering their worth in God, their identity, their true identity in God. That to me is a success in itself. So.
What about you, Pat? What does success look like for you as an author, and how do you measure it?
I think for me, just the fact that people are enjoying reading my books and mostly say very nice things about it. And it, particularly Daisy, makes them think about things that they wouldn't necessarily think about normally. I'm not doing it for the financial gain, because A, that's almost impossible for an author, but B, I just want people to be able to read my books. I think I just feel very blessed that I have been able to do it, and that they're being well received. That's it for me, really.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Toni? What does success look like for you as an author, and how do you measure it?
I think for me, it's the reader reviews that I get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I may not sell 1,000 books in a month, but if I sell one and that one person says, I really enjoyed your book, I was really entertained, or I got a really good message from it, or
Mm-hmm.
that to me is a measure of success.
Mm-hmm.
Because I write for the love of writing, and I write to uplift and encourage and bring something positive into the reader's life. And so if one reader, one person gets that, I feel I've met some success.
Yeah, yeah, but and
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Toni, though, because
Mhm.
okay, so again, I have a company and I also another company and I sell products. So yes, I get that high when somebody purchases my product. I got the high for a solid day. Now, if you haven't purchased my product anymore in like a month and a half, I'm looking like, what is the problem? So
Mhm.
how do you realistically be okay with only selling maybe a low number of something that you created and you just like, I know this is good. What is wrong with y'all?
Mhm.
Why are y'all not purchasing this?
Yeah.
Like, how do you
Yeah.
become okay with that stuff?
Uh, well, I won't say that I don't get a little bit discouraged at times,
Mhm.
but I try to keep the bigger picture in mind.
Okay.
And for me, the bigger picture, of course, is the love and the passion that I have for writing.
Mhm.
But it's also, I have, other goals for my books and for my work. And I keep that in mind.
Okay.
I keep in mind also that sometimes when it looks discouraging and, you've maybe only sold 2 books in a month, or,
Mhm.
you know, uh, but I try to keep the mindset that all it takes is just that one reader,
Mhm.
that one right person to get that book in their hands
Mhm.
and read it and be like, hey, this is good. And
Mhm.
they might pass it on to somebody they know. And then next thing you know, you're getting requests to turn your book into a movie or
Yeah, yeah.
a TV series.
Mhm.
So I just keep that in mind. It's just, okay, I only sold 2 books this month, but at some point, it's going to
Mhm.
land where it's supposed to land
Yeah.
at the time that it's supposed to land
Mhm.
and do what it's supposed to do. I just
That's
have to
good.
stay the course and
That's
not give
good.
up.
That is so true. Because it's like if you give up, then it's like it now is really never gonna happen. Because you done
Exactly.
gave up. Um,
Exactly.
that is true. Now, what about you, Aundrea? What does success look like for you as an author, and how do you measure it?
Oh, I think as an author, success just looks like completion for me. Like
Mhm.
the moment I got the proof, that was like, wow, I made it.
Yeah, I know that's right.
And then just being able to sell the books, people actually buying it, that's the icing on the cake for me,
Yeah,
is that people are
yeah,
actually interested in buying the books and continuing to buy the books. I think that just takes it over the top. And I honestly, I measure success by how much I'm putting into it.
Mhm.
If I really want to do the work and get this book out there and get into the hands of children, because we know that children's books live on. I mean, all books.
Yeah.
When we have that book we read as a child, that just it stays with us. And
Mhm.
so if I'm putting in the work to get the word out there about my book, I just let go and let God, honestly. And, once I've done everything that I could do, that I know the book is going to travel, like Toni said, where it needs to travel, where the
Mhm.
hands that it needs to touch and the eyes that need to read it. I know that that's going to be the main goal. And I mean, I'm set, but that
Yeah.
completion, just for me to see that it started with just words in my journal
Mhm.
to a finished product, that's amazing to me.
And I know that Toni can probably attest to this, but like when you look back at 2016 when you started, and then you just look at where you are at now, and you're like, man, this is really good, especially like when you're growing in something and you're learning and becoming better as it as well. So, Aundrea, how do you emotionally and mentally handle when friends and family members don't support you by purchasing your books?
Oh yeah. I think I had to learn that. I had to learn that. Just because, you're my friends and family don't necessarily mean that you will buy the book. Now I am in a space where most of my friends have toddlers, but once they all bought the book, then it's like, okay, we got your book and we're on to the next thing. But I think for me, I had to just know that there are people who are like me, who are not my friends. There are moms who are stay-at-home moms, who are working moms, who work from home, that have children. And I need to reach them too, So I think it was hard at first, because once that, that high is over of selling, a couple months after you've released your book, it's like, okay, now there's this lull and I actually have to put in more work because my family and friends, they all have the book now. So I think at first it was kind of tough to be like, okay, I need to put in more work. But once I see that there are other people who need the book, I think it gets a lot easier.
And how do you not look at them side eye because they did not purchase your book?
I think it was me realizing that it may not be for them, but it is for somebody. And so I just have to just come to the realization, because they may have something that I'm not interested in. And so I think I have to just flip it. There may be a podcast that they have or a book that they have that really doesn't speak to me, and I can support in other ways. I may not purchase the book, but I may share a post, or I may buy the book for somebody else, and so I think that there are different ways that we can support too.
So now, what about you, Toni? How do you emotionally and mentally handle when friends and family members don't support you by purchasing your books?
I have to shift my focus. I try not to spend too much time dwelling on, okay, my immediate family, nobody's bought the book. I don't sit and dwell on that fact. I focus on the readers who actually show interest, who actually share my posts, who actually give feedback. I focus on them and just, kind of go with that. And, sometimes I get this little thing where, okay, like, all right, I see you. Just don't, when the 6-figure checks start rolling in.
Don't be calling me then.
Don't call me for
Don't act like we cousins now.
And I know that's kind of petty, and I have to kind of shift that, because also your mindset has a lot to do with your blessings and how it comes from the other areas. But I just try not to focus on it. I just focus on, okay, your success is going to come from where it's meant to come from. Your support is going to come from where it's meant to come from. And you just enjoy that, and you celebrate that, and you be thankful for that.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that part about your focus on the people that are showing interest, that's purchasing your books, that's liking your posts. Because I think of when you go to a party, and that person whose birthday it is, they're like, well, where is such and such? I wonder how come such and such didn't come. But I'm like, what about us? We here, you can't just be moping, but we here, let's do something, so I'm really glad that you mentioned that. You have to focus on the people that have showed interest, because that's your target right there. So now, what about you, Anna? How do you emotionally and mentally handle when your friends and family members don't support you by purchasing your books?
I agree with the ladies with everything they said, but I've learned not to take it personal. It was very tough in the beginning because I'm a very sensitive person. God is with me with that. But God have just shown me not to take it personal. It might not even be about me. It's my message is probably not for them. So I just focus, just like she said, I just focus on the people that are supporting. And I've also noticed that God will really connect you to the right people. He will really, really, really make sure that he connect you to the right people. I've seen that happening for me. I can say maybe monthly. Like it's amazing. So I to take it personal and just think, it's it's probably not even about me personally. That's another thing, knowing that the enemy really tries to put things in your mind to discourage you. So I just ignore it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. What about you, Pat? How do you emotionally and mentally handle when friends and family members don't support you by purchasing your book?
Okay, well, I agree with all the ladies, and especially with Toni. Anyone that hasn't supported me, when I win the lottery, that's it, they're out.
Don't forget us. Don't forget us,
No,
Pat. All right.
Of course I won't. But
our contact information is listed in the description box.
But joking aside, I think it was a bit of a shock when I published my first book that not everyone was as excited as I was about it. You know, that I was kind of, oh, I'm an author now, and oh yeah. Oh, and what shall we have for dinner? You know, and that was really hard. I gave away a lot of my books when my first book, Daisy, because I was so excited. I wanted everyone to read it. I didn't care. I was losing money. And what really hurts is that a lot of those people have never even opened it. And that does hurt. Those are people I really know quite well. But the majority of them have and have said nice things. So yeah, I guess I've just had to toughen up, really. At first I was very upset, but now I think, okay, well, it's just not for you, but maybe the next one will be, or you're definitely off my list anyway, so.
Yeah. But I'm glad that you all mentioned the whole mindset change, because that's how life is. Some people are going to support you, some people aren't, and then I'm also glad that Aundrea, you mentioned that people support you in other ways as well. So shout out to you guys that you might not want to purchase our product, but you are definitely the ones that's going to share and like our comments and our posts as well. So we appreciate you as well. So Pat, what did you discover about yourself during your journey of becoming an author?
I think I discovered that, well, I kind of always knew I was very determined and I had tenacity, but I think it made me realize that actually I could just exist on my own. I don't need anyone else. I can be focused. I can live my life. I care deeply for my fellow man, and I have heaps of people I really care about. But ultimately, it taught me that I can be strong and independent, and I've got something to offer to the world. So yeah, for me, it's been good. It came at the right time in my life when I needed something to lift me up.
Let me ask you something. I know that you told us in the beginning about what happened with your husband and things like that. What other things did you have to do in order to really pull yourself out of that state of like hopelessness and that things just don't seem like they're going to get better?
I think I just had to count my blessings. I've always been very lucky that I've always had a deep faith in God. Without that, I'm not sure I would have survived. Because when you're literally living on your own, and in New Zealand I had no family at the time. My daughter was living in London. So I was completely alone, and I had some very dark moments, but I just lots of praying and was determined not to give in. Just
That's good.
Got through it, and now I'm delighted I did.
That's good. We are delighted you did as well. I don't use delighted as much, but since you said it, I'm gonna say it. But we're thankful that you did not allow the enemy to defeat you, because he is not about just defeating. He's trying to steal, kill, and destroy. But I'm just thankful that you got out of that mind space. And another thing that I'm thankful for is that who has helped you get out of that place, which is God as well. So that I'm telling you, Jesus don't be playing, y'all. If you want to DM me or any other ladies that say that they are believers, we don't mind sharing our testimony with you. But now, what about you, Aundrea? What did you discover about yourself during your journey of becoming an author?
I think that I just discovered that I can be a mom, a wife, and an author. I think for a long time, I just saw myself as only a mom, and I want to just pour myself all the way into motherhood and do nothing else. I can't focus on anything else. And that took a lot out of me. It sucked a lot out of me. And so to just go through the process of writing the book and using my creativity in a way that was so fulfilling, I just saw that I can do hard things. And it was just awesome to see, because I incorporated my family into a lot of the book signings that I did. My kids came with me, my husband. I mean, they were working the square, we're buying, my daughter's taking pictures. Wow. So I think I can do it all.
Yeah.
It's fulfilling for me. So yeah, just this process has shown me you can do it, mama. You can do it. You can do it all.
Now I know that we have viewers that's like, that's great for you, Aundrea, but look, I'll be tired just as soon as I get off of work. Like, I cannot put anything else on my plate. What did that actually look like for you? Like, what did an actual day of you writing, taking care, because you're homeschooling, right?
Yes.
Homeschooling and being a wife and doing other house things. Like, how do you fit in an additional thing like that?
Yeah, so that's why I said I can do hard things, because it was hard.
Yeah.
It was not easy. It was a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights.
So what we talking, how many, like, what are you giving yourself, like maybe an hour or 2 hours in the morning before everybody gets up and writing?
Yeah, I would try to get up at like maybe 4:30, just to be able to be my daughter early riser. And so just to be up and be set that it won't always be like this. And that if I can just stick with it for this amount of time, that I'll get through it. And so I was just able to just day by day, okay, if I can get up at 4:30 today and get done what I need to get done. It may not be perfect every day. We may just go outside and have recess and learn about bugs outside for today. That's our homeschool lesson. That's all I can give to this. Or, if I have to, have my husband, okay, we tag teaming on dinner tonight. It had to shift a little bit than maybe what we were used to, but because we were all in, I think that it made it a lot easier just to focus and adjust in that way. So it takes sacrifice. It does. It takes a lot of sacrifice, but just to see the end product, like we were saying, it's just so worth it.
That's good. And I always like to have the authors give like that practical way, but I appreciate you for sharing that with us of how you, really did it. And that support system that you also had. So what about you, Toni? What did you discover about yourself during your journey of becoming an author?
I discovered that I actually had discipline and focus. I just had to exercise it. And it took a great bit of work. It still takes work, because I still have my moments where I'll get distracted by something on TV or something, and I have to, okay, shift back, come, bring it back. But I discovered that I can be disciplined and focused enough to get done what I need to do. And I discovered that I think, like Pat said, that I have something genuine to offer, and it just gave me that boost that I needed.
Yeah. It's crazy how, something is in you. You just gotta like execute it. Like, I know you're strong, girl. I need you to go ahead and execute it.
Yep.
And I think the craziest thing about this sometimes is, sometimes we talk about all these external influences, but it's really just ourselves. Like, if we can get our mind right, then we'll conquer the world. But what about you, Anna? What did you discover about yourself during your journey of becoming an author?
That I can actually push past the doubt and the fear. This was very challenging for me. I was afraid that I was gonna start something and not finish it. And I was struggling with a lot of doubt. Like, Lord, can I even write a book? What am I gonna say? And I just realized that I'm able to do it. If God told me to do something, I can really get it done. And it takes a lot of determination, a lot of sacrifice, and discipline. So those are the three things that I definitely had to learn to have during this process. So I definitely discovered that I'm able to push past those things.
So you
And it was
said
also very uncomfortable.
you said that you had to learn to have those things. What is one thing that you did not have that you just named, and how did you learn to get it?
Being disciplined. And I learned because I used to tell myself, okay, if I really want this, or I used to ask myself, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want this thing? If you really want to write a book to make a difference, then you are to be disciplined. You are supposed to do what you have to do. Make sure that you're showing up every single day. Make sure that, just like Aundrea said, get up early in the morning, sacrifice some sleep, go to sleep late. And these are things that I always used to think about. Okay, I want the book. God told me that I'm able to do it. So I have to discipline myself. I have to really, even if I do not want to do it, I have to do it. That's discipline. That's disciplining yourself. When you don't want to do something, but you just do it.
That's so true, because I know how it is. Ooh, the struggle with exercise. I'll be like, girl, your body is bad. But then I'll be like, well, I'll exercise tomorrow. Another day, another dollar. But I definitely thank you all for being on the show and talking to us a lot more of why you became an author and how it actually changed your life. One of the great things about having the authors on the show is, so many times on Facebook we'll see like just somebody's book cover. We don't know anything about this author, but now you know these four authors and have a better understanding of why they wrote their books as well. Make sure you definitely go to that description box so that you can follow our authors on their social media handles. Also, you want to click on that link that's next to that $ so that you can read a lot more about their book and read that book summary as well. I know that, many times we think that, oh man, I can't buy somebody this. It's not Christmas time. You don't have to wait till Christmas. You can purchase a book for somebody else right now. Why don't you just celebrate spring with somebody? So you can definitely purchase the book for somebody else, or you can purchase the book for yourself as well. Remember to continue to share this video so that more people will know about our authors as well as the show. And if you never want to miss an episode of our Everything Authors shows, make sure you go all the way down to the description box and you can follow Everything Authors on our social media handles as well. We definitely hope that you guys have a great remainder of the night, and we will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.